Today, I'm giving my houseplants some TLC. This space is a permanent home for my turmeric, ginger, lemongrass, aloes and others. And, over the winter, gives refuge to a few plants that usually live in the garden but are a bit too tender to make it through harsher winter nights. It's a little cramped, but I love having them all here. Gives the place a real luscious feel. These poor babies are looking a little under the weather right now, but in a few weeks, when spring comes and they can reclaim their rightful place outside, they'll perk right up. I've already collected what I'll need today. I have treated myself to a new planter, and I have some styrofoam for the drainage layer, clay pebbles for drainage in the smaller pots, and, of course, some compost. I love the new pot so much. I'll plant it up with ginger and I can already see those long, elegant ginger stems coming out of this vaguely futuristic pot. But first, let's cast elegance from our minds and do some work. I'm covering the floor with some plastic I have left over from doing up the room last year. Call me silly, but I could just gaze lovingly at this pretty plant pot. Since the pot is really big and Shindra has pretty shallow roots, I'll put a generous layer of styrofoam on the bottom. The styrofoam will take up space, provide drainage, and, since it's in my house, it'll stay out of the landfill. Everyone wins. Bits of cotton fabric to keep the roots from straying too far down. I could use newspaper for this, but I don't have any of that. This looks pretty full up, but the weight of the compost will push the styrofoam down. Speaking of compost, and here's my ginger plant. For the last 5 weeks or so, the leaves have developed brown points, and since I didn't change anything about the watering, I assume the pot is getting a little small. For convenience, I'm cutting back the stems. I'm not getting rid of the stems and leaves. There's actually lots you can do with that, and I'm making a video about that. Ginger stem syrup and fermented ginger leaf tea. The video should be out in a day or two, so unless you're watching the video on the day it comes out, which thank you by the way if you do, you should see a link appearing to the supplementary video. I do videos with appendices now. I'll transplant a couple with the stems on, just because I've never tried that and I'm curious to see if they'll survive. I'll get back to you on that. Taking apart a clump of ginger root is always exciting. Finding out how much has grown, how big the harvest is. I'm also checking that everything is healthy, that there's no foulness or molding. If you do find any of that, remove the area and be generous about it. Better to lose a little bit of healthy plant parts than to transfer a sickness to a new pot. First ginger's going into the new pot. This one is so pretty and healthy, and I'm so excited to see it grow. Now, I was thinking I would move the ginger to the bigger pot and then move all other plants one side up. But now I'm thinking, having one pot of ginger is good. Now imagine having 2. You understand me? I'm filling the pot with a mix of new and old dirt. It'll be a little bit rejuvenated, and I won't have to deal with a bunch of dirt that I somehow have to get out of the house. Is that the ideal solution? Yes, well, for me. If the plants have an issue, they can call the customer service hotline. All the fresh ginger I just harvested goes right back in the dirt. See you in a couple of months. I'll give the ginger stems a support so they don't flop around as much. Moving on to the turmeric. This was a real surprise 2 years ago. I had no idea what turmeric plants look like. I just had a piece of turmeric lying around the kitchen a few weeks too much, and then I noticed it developed some growth. So I put it in some dirt and waited a while, and voila, a huge plant. Definitely something you could try. By the by, those big turmeric leaves are also edible. I don't have a video about that yet. Look how much turmeric has grown! I'll never have to buy turmeric again. I am having turmeric tea every day from now on. I'm going to be so damn healthy. Let's look at that again from a different angle. It's so pretty. Clay pebbles for drainage, and apparently they also aerate the roots. That's cool. And guess who used fabric scissors to cut plastic? Self. That was a little too much dirt. We'll still need some space for the plant. Oh, well done. I might have a bit of an off day, I think. First the fabric scissors and now full dread with my socks in the dirt. Now, the lemon tree. I've grown it from a seed and I'm very proud of it. It'll stay in the same pot, but I'm exchanging the compost and I'll be planting it a little bit higher. It's almost halfway down the pot because the day I planted it, I had too little compost on hand. Also, a little support in the form of a knitting needle. Oh yeah, this was a struggle to get out. But at least I learned something. Namely, if you're growing something with thick, voluminous roots, don't put it in a pot that's narrow at the top. It's a super cute pot, but maybe for something with really thin roots, like, I can't actually think of any plants with famously small Sempervivum! Sempervivum. Getting it out of the pot was a bit annoying, but nice root development. So that pot is nice and open at the top. That will be a joy to take out next time. And we're done. I'm going to do my aloe vera care some other day off camera, but if you're curious about having aloes, I have a whole video about them, their care and some recipes. Don't forget to water in your plants. Always water in so you don't get air bubbles and dried up roots. That's bad. Watering is good. Taking a moment to hide all the necessary but not very aesthetically pleasing supplies. Oh, if you're wondering why I have bottles with rainwater standing around, the thing is our tap water is really hard and some plants, like the eucalyptus and the citrus, don't like that at all. So I fill up bottles at the rain barrel, and the bottles don't look good and I should find a nice hiding place for them, but the eucalyptus is very happy. Next job is to make something delicious out of the ginger greens, but first let's take a look how the sunroom looks now. Ta-da! Turmeric looks much better in the larger pots. I have high hopes for my little lemon tree. Maybe I might even get a lemon this year. Eucalyptus is doing well. The lemongrass was also a bit of a shocker. I bought, you know the fresh herb cuttings you can buy at the supermarket? I bought lemongrass. There were 4 pieces in the pack and I only needed 1 to cook with, so I put the other 3 in some water to keep them fresh more than anything. A week later they had developed roots, and now, 10 months later, I have a huge lemongrass plant. I don't know what I expected, but not these long fronds. Very pretty. Running your fingers through them feels lovely and it makes a really cute rustling sound. Highly recommended. Down in the corner are all my gingers. I'll see how the red pot develops, but I might have to put a book stack under it to get it closer to the light. The transplanting of ginger with the greens on seems to go well so far. A bit disheveled, but alive, and that's all we're aiming for. Down here are the vacationers from the garden, doing well and still in flower. Also a cardamom. Aloe is looking beautiful. Some rosemary cuttings that seem to be doing well so far. And more cardamom. The 3 plants were 1 a few months ago. I divided them so recently that I didn't think they needed any special tending to today. By the by, does anyone have any tips on how to get cardamom to flower? They only produce leaves for me and I'd be so curious to see them flower. If you know how to get them to do that, please leave a comment. I'd be so grateful. Over here, a bay, a fuchsia and a moonflower that is definitely hibernating. Aloes, 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 and a little orchid that is developing a new arm. But if you take anything from this video, it's grow some turmeric. It's surprisingly easy. Just remember to water it well. It is quite a thirsty plant. Give it some light and space, and in return for this modest investment you get a really impressive plant. And all the turmeric you could ever need. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and if you like this video, why not subscribe?